Hello and welcome to my podcast. Do me a favor, subscribe to the John Keim Report wherever you get your podcast. You're watching on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. You can find us there as part of Ampire Media, Ampire. Always much appreciated when you tune in. And don't forget, you can read my work on ESPN.com. And if you want to become a club member, go to the Ampire Media YouTube page, see the word join, click on that, find the membership level you want, and go from there. So today, wrapping up the last day of practice. By the way, one little programming note, I will be joined by Sam Fortier from the Washington Post over on that's going to come out tomorrow, kind of looking ahead to the final preseason game, but also wrapping up training camp since today was the last official day of training camp. That means for the media, we will no longer be able to see all of camp. So we'll now in the future, we'll get about 20 minutes. That's it. And so there you go. So we get about, stretching, maybe see who's practicing, who's not. And then you get ushered back into the building. So now we're getting into pretty much regular season mode as we move forward. And final cuts are Tuesday. So just there you go. Anyway, Sam Fortier will be joining me on Saturday. All right. So today, again, last day of practice. And one of the things they did, well, first of all, a couple of things before we get there. Jayen Daniels is not going to play Sunday. No surprise. Should be no surprise. Anybody was not expecting that. But just Dan Quinn made that official today. And then you can expect like a lot of, I don't know how many start. If he's not playing, it's hard to see the starting offensive line going. So I'm going to have a guess that a lot of those starters will not be playing in this game. A lot, more than certainly a few of them had not played in the first two games. Some of the older veterans, and I'm not expecting, the veterans to be playing in this game. So just checking if you're watching, I'm just checking to make sure my mic is on. Anyways, so that's a little bit of housekeeping. I will say, the last preseason game, and Dan Quinn brought this up, and I enjoy it too. Like he really likes watching this last preseason game because it's really about competing. And there are definitely a handful of spots to earn that remain available. Where they're at, I mean, you can kind of look at it like there's going to be, and sometimes it's not between two guys in one spot. A lot of times it's between, a safety and a linebacker, or a linebacker, a safety, and a running back, or something, whatever position, because, that's it kind of come down to special teams in those kind of cases. But is it more valuable to keep a sixth safety, a fourth running back, a sixth safety, a fourth tight end, or 10 offensive linemen, whatever it is? That's where it comes down to. But guys do make it in this final preseason game. So, I know for fans, like it's not the most exciting game because you're not being able to watch any of the starters. But from a competition standpoint and drama, like there's more in this game than the other ones because you have guys legitimately fighting for jobs. And so when people say it doesn't matter, I always say it does to these people. And so like, that's why for me, I always have to treat it with respect because the game matters to them. And it's their livelihood and their potential to win a job. Now, winning, for as far as the overall development of the team, are we going to learn a whole lot? Probably not. But you can get to see a guy win or lose a job in this final preseason game. So, a couple of years ago, Shaka Toney has a really nice move in the final preseason game. And the coach is like, nobody else here can make that move. Put him on the roster. Now he didn't amount to anything, there are other issues, but that play helped him. Last year, Kaz Allen, I don't know that he was going to make it, but he certainly made it easier for him not to be put on there when he dropped a punt. So anyways, always some drama in there, and I do like watching it. So does Dan Quinn. Let's get to Friday and just kind of what went on today, because I think it's kind of highlights what they've done a lot this summer. So today is considered like a fast Friday. They made this week like a regular game week as far as practicing at 1:00 the Wednesday and Thursday. Then on Friday, they went at 11:25, and they did what they call it their fast Friday. They kind of get through. It's about an hour, little practice is about an hour and 5 hour and 10 minutes at most. And it's just going over situations and all that. And then you're off the field, and then they get the heck out of here. So it's just, they wanted to make this, because they're playing on a Sunday, it was an opportunity for them to go through it, make it look like a game week the entire week. So that's why they had light work on Monday, nothing on Tuesday. So just, again, a lot like the regular season. So good opportunity for them to do that. But what they did a lot today is situational stuff. And this is one of the things that, to me, separates this camp from some others that I've covered, because they did a ton of situational work and way more in today and in the depths of the details of it than I typically have seen. For example, now, first of all, Dan Quinn was on the mic calling out the situations. There's 18 seconds left and no timeouts, and you need a field goal. And that was the first one. So they're at around the 45 or something like that. So like in this situation, again, no timeouts, you got to get a field goal. So what you're seeing is Jayen Daniels getting the ball to Zacchaeus on the right side. But what you want to see from this, and this is what they work on, is Zacchaeus then sprints to the middle of the field, puts the ball down in place, and they line up and they snapped for a field goal. It was a fire drill. They snapped for the field goal with 1 second left on the clock. Now, Cade York was here. He did not attempt to kick because, as Dan Quinn said later, because he just got here. There's no timing between he and Tressway and Tyler Ott. So, but they just wanted to. It was really in a game they would have gotten that kickoff. So you're really what Quinn said. The idea was see what the threshold is for how much time you need in a situation. So now they know 18 seconds left. You can handle this, right? So I think that's the depth that they're preparing to, and over time that's going to matter. Like you want to be a very good situational team because that's how you win in the NFL. And they've done a lot of red zone work, a lot of 2-minute drill situations. But today was the most detailed where it's end of the game stuff. And sometimes it might be, one time there was 5 seconds left with one timeout, get the ball comes out, boom, you catch it, you get down, you call timeout, then you have 1 second left. So that happened as well. So a lot of that was going on today. I think there was one time in one of the situations you're at the 20-yard line. They had two plays from there. I think there was like 19 seconds left, but the last one the second play has to get in the end zone. So what do you do there? So and that was like from the 19-yard line. So those are the things you're working on. Like if you're in that situation, you're just better prepared. Now how they handle it, we'll see, because sometimes the talent wins out, but they have been better prepared for sure in that spot, because like I said, I haven't seen them work it to this extent. I don't know when I've seen it to this extent, to be honest. You're working on defense too. It wasn't just offense, the defense, how are you playing it? It's 3rd and 15 and there's X number of seconds left or whatever the situation is. How are you lining up as a defensive backfield as well? So, you would see that. So it wasn't just the offense they were working on, you're working on both sides at times. But like I said, and one of the things that Jayen Daniels does really well, and I think this gives them an edge in these situations, he gets the ball out quick. He makes quick decisions. And I think that's a separator for him from a lot of other guys that I've seen at this position, especially as a rookie. And I think, we've seen it in the first 2 games. Again, like he hasn't gotten sacked. And it's not like there hasn't been pressure. It's not like there haven't been offensive linemen getting beat who are trying to protect him. That's all happened. It's just you're not noticing it because of the quarterback play. And sometimes it's because the plays that are called. But, Sam Fortier and I talked about another play that will be out. Again, we'll talk about this for Saturday, but there's a play against the Dolphins where you have 2 guys blitzing free. He doesn't get hit. Like in the past, I think he's going to get drilled, right? And he doesn't even get hit because he gets rid of the ball so quick. And, is every decision the right one? No, but I'll give the example, the little lofted pass to Terry McLaurin against the Dolphins. Because of where the blitz was coming from, the hot is on the other side. Like he had a guy there. So technically not the right decision, but he makes a quick decision. And so, and I still think if you could throw a ball that McLaurin, you get a big play down there too, because it's not like Terry wasn't open. It's just under duress, off back foot, whatever, wasn't his best throw, but you're trying to give a guy a chance, but you're getting the ball out quick and you're living to play another down. And one of the things that Joe Witt on Thursday talked to us about when he talked to the media was with Daniels, how much he likes, and he even said he talked to Daniels about this, how much he likes how he takes care of the ball. And you saw that at LSU. He didn't throw a lot of picks there. And you've been seeing that this summer. And sometimes it's a matter of ball placement and sometimes it's a matter of decision making. So that's been on display as well. And so I think like all those things have been very good for him and and obviously for the Commanders. A couple injury updates here. So because I think you wonder how it affects the roster. Like Marcus Mariota, not going to play again Sunday, did not play last week, dealing with a groin issue. He was doing work before practice. He was doing work on the side field throwing. So I think it sounds like Quinn said he'd be okay. So I do expect him back next week. But you wonder, like, if they feel like this could be a lingering thing, do you keep? I don't know if they're going to keep 3 quarterbacks. Personally, I would keep 2, but as of right now, my mind could change over the next 48 hours. But if you're only going to keep 2, you need to be confident that Mariota is a certain way, right? And if he's not, then you keep a third just to get you through maybe the first week or two of the season to make sure you're covered at that position. I mean, I think you'll be able to get Driscoll or Hartman onto the practice squad. Whether you get both or not, I don't know. But I do, so you could still be covered in that way. But I think right now, if you had to have someone else go in a game, you'd want it to be Jeff Driscoll. Sam Hartman worked today, also cut his hair. For that's whatever you care about that, but he did work today. And then Cleveland Farrell had a little bit of a knee issue. He hasn't been practicing, but Dan Quinn said both he and Dante Fowler, who has not been practicing either, should be back next week. Because I think if it was a game situation today or even this weekend, that those guys would play. But because it's not, because they don't want to put them in this game, then they're just kind of being extra cautious with them. And so they held them out. He said that both of them wanted to go today, held them out, look for them to practice next week. And then Brandon Coleman was doing some work as well. And, I think he's progressing didn't see Newton out there. I think that's another one that we need to monitor and see where that goes. I felt it was interesting. I think it's been interesting all week watching how KJ Henry, where without Farrell in there, it's been KJ Henry going in there first. And I told you yesterday, I think he's developed nicely. I liked how he progressed last year as well. I think he can help you. I think he does a nice job on the edge. I don't know if he's ever going to be a dynamic pass rusher, but I think he can help you as a rotational guy for sure. He's done, like I said, he's done a nice job developing. So a couple things as we wrap up camp, and Sam and I are going to get into a lot of this on Saturday. So tune in for that. But I don't know that it was the most strenuous camp I've ever covered. I don't know what that means, because I think they got good work in. You got, again, a lot of situational work. I think that's very, very valuable. I think when you're watching them, I didn't see a lot of hiccups or confusion based on the calls or not knowing the calls or not knowing the offense, that kind of thing. You didn't see that. So I think that was a good development for them. So I think now you saw some false starts. I think sometimes that's a hard count issue and you got to stay on sides, trying to draw the defense out, but that's a good thing to go through. So I think, and again, last year was one of the more strenuous camps I've seen, and it didn't help them. So take that for what it's worth. I think it's really the quality of work you're getting in versus the quantity of work that you're getting. And, I would always go back to the Bill Walsh days in San Francisco, where he had a great team, but the practices were not long, and they were not, killing each other there. And yet they're winning Super Bowls. First of all, you had Joe Montana and Steve Young, that helps. But I think it was also the philosophy of Bill Walsh and just making sure you get really good work in. And I think I saw that here. Time will tell. So that's one thing. Jayen Daniels, I mean, the biggest impression you have from this is that I think they got a guy who can play. And it's hard to say otherwise as we sit here on August 22nd. I think it's, it's August 23rd. Who knew? As we sit here on August 23rd, I think they got a guy who can play. And he's checked every box along the way. There has been no reason to, when you're watching, to think like, oh, we're not seeing what we're seeing. Like there's some false hope here. I haven't seen that. How good he's going to be, I don't know yet. Let's see what it looks like during the games. There's a lot of other factors involved. But was he a good pick? Yes, he was. And I think, is the stuff you hear real? Yes, I think it is. So now he just has to go out there and do it consistently. But I think that's been good. And one of the things Quinn said, and this goes back to what I was saying, the decision making, he said that Daniels has rare mental quickness. And one of the things I remember before the draft, and this is when we were out in the league meetings out in Florida, and I asked Quinn, like, what is it based on your defensive background? When you're looking at a quarterback, how are you judging him based on your background? And when you're going through the scouting process, and the first thing he brought up was processing speed. And when I asked him about Daniels that day, he said he really likes his processing speed. So that's where it's like, okay, we're starting to add 1+1 here to get to this guy, but that's what he's liked all along. But he did see it again here. And then he said he puts the ball in the right spot and he loves to compete. Even out on these drills out here today, you would see it, and you see it all the time when the quarterbacks are throwing into the neck, throwing into a big trash barrel. Like he loves to. I mean, I think they all do, but like you can see the joy on him just being out here. I think it's not just that he can be a good player. I think you're going to see that personality really come out as he becomes more and more comfortable. not just as a quarterback in the NFL, but just in his role on the team. And guys talk about that infectious personality. So I think you're going to see that more as the season goes on, as he opens up here. And I think you're going to enjoy him. So there you go. And I think the other thing, I really like the vibe in this camp, very different from the past, very different. How much is it going to help? I don't know yet, because I think there's still a lot of questions about, have they solved the outside, or not even solved, do they have the right outside corners in Forbes and St. Juice? Also, Mike Samerstill has been working out there. So, I think we need to see what he can do. We hear what they like about him out there, but I'd like to see, before we sit here and say, oh, problem solved, and it's not up to me, it's up to them, what they think. But before you get to that point, you kind of like to see how he matches up against these really good receivers, because we haven't seen that. And that's, we've seen Emmanuel Forbes and St. Juice against Garrett Wilson. Well, Garrett Wilson's really damn good. So, but I haven't seen Samerstill up against that guy. Now I've seen him against McLaurin at times. So there is some of that to fall back on. I think he's going to be a really good corner for them, a good player for them. I think what he is, it's the old McLaurin thing. He's a football player. He can play in the slot. He can play here. If he wanted to be, return kickoffs, he'll do that. He'll play on special teams. He's going to be a good player for them because of all that he offers. And I think, with the rookie class, you still, there are guys I like Jordan McGee before he got hurt. Love Tyler Owens. I think still some questions about where Dominique Hampton is going to fit ultimately. And, he's been working at linebacker. I think Newton, we just haven't seen him. Coleman, liked what I saw from him, need to see more because we haven't seen it in pads in a game with him. So, I think McCaffrey, I like the physical play. I think there are things that he definitely offers. I don't know if he's going to be a guy that's separating at the top of his route all the time, but he can definitely help you. And so, that's a good one. Sam is still really good. And Javante Jean-Baptiste, I like what I saw from him. Will he make the roster? I don't know yet. I'll talk about that after the game. But I like what I've seen. You can see, okay, in a year or two, could he get to somewhere that's really good because of the length that he has, and he has done a nice job. So I think those are good to see as well for them. I think, obviously, like I said, there's still questions about quarterbacks, still questions like how is the pass rush going to look? We don't know. I think it's going to be better. I like the scheme better, and they can create a lot more with it. So that's all good. But we don't know how it's all going to fit because we haven't seen it out there yet. They have an idea. We don't yet. So, and it doesn't matter what we think. But if you're asking if it's solved, we don't know yet. I do think it'll be better. And I do think it's going to be a lot more creative. Whereas instead of just relying on four guys, you can rely and just, hey, go get them. It's more like, this is what we're going to do to confuse the quarterback. That's a big deal. Do they have enough at receiver after the Jahan Dotson trade? I don't know that I don't think that it cripples them. But we don't, can Zacchaeus, can he be a factor? He's looked good this camp. De'Ami Brown, he's had a nice camp. I wouldn't say that he's had this great camp. I think he's shown ways that he can, again, help you. Now, he's shown that in the past. His career high is 12 catches. So we've got to see a lot more from him. He's going to get that opportunity. And I do think his physical play fits into what the mindset is here. So that's good, but we, got to see it, right? In offensive line, do they have they spent enough time together to come out and do what they want to do and run the ball effectively? Because that's got to be the key for them. So I think there's a lot more to learn about this team. I do think they're headed in the right direction long term, but short term, I still think there's answers that we need to see. It doesn't mean they can't answer them. It just means there's still things before you can sit here and say, oh my gosh, this could be a playoff team this year. We don't know that yet. I think, again, some of that, it depends on Daniels. How well does he do? Can he repeat CJ Stroud? Problem is, they don't play in that same division. They play in a tougher division. Makes it a little bit harder. They don't have a young pass rusher like Will Anderson. They need another receiver to emerge. So there's things there, like Daniels can have a really good year, and then we'll see. But anyways, I like the vibe. I think they're off to a good start here. A lot more to learn, but there's a long way to go to build this thing to the level that they wanted to get it to. So anyways, that's it from me. I'll be back on Saturday with Sam 48 from the Washington Post, and I'll be back after the game. I'll have a podcast that will probably go up Monday morning, get you ready for final cuts and talking about a little bit about the game, but more about looking ahead to the week, the final cuts, etc. So anyway, that's it. Thank you for tuning in. Talk to you next time.